Is Natalie Hahn. This meeting is being recorded for those of you that were unaware. So my name is Natalie Hahn, and I am technology tonight. I am a senior in aerospace engineering. We'll go ahead and quickly click to this. So my pronouns are she, her, hers. I currently attend Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I'm also getting a minor in analytical mathematics. So like top level geek over here. If you really want to talk to somebody for hours about different types of planes, I'm your gal. Heather might have to reach out to you later about that because I just need somebody to geek with. But I have been a SWE member for 5 years now. So I started as my section secretary back as when I was a second semester freshman, which seems like way too long ago. And then I was a 3-term collegiate president of my section. And then I moved on to being a leadership coach for the leadership coaching committee, where I ended up leading and helping out 11 different collegiate sections all throughout the United States. And I basically got to help teach them, hey, this is how you do leadership. Here's how you avoid leadership burnout. Let's talk about things like negotiating salaries and things like that with your sections. And then I ended up moving on to being the leadership development program coordinator. I spent a year as an elect and a year as a coordinator, which is what I'm doing now, which is how I met Miss Maya. Go ahead and find her picture in this big bottom collage here of all my lovely, sweet LDPers. And then, as she said, I am somehow the incoming collegiate director for the society as a whole. So that means I will be a board of director for the entire global organization, so 40,000 plus members. And then I am technically directly responsible for 12,000 plus collegiate students and grad students. So somehow they have decided to put me in charge. I'm not sure how. So throughout this, whether you have questions about what our topic is, which is negotiating salaries, or you have questions just in general about maybe something SWE related, or you just want to ask a crazy question, you can. Some other little tidbits before we move on. I am a first generation student. I am an LGBTQIA plus member. I am a disabled member, and I am all around just a little crazy. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I have a Q&A section at the end here. But so we're actually going to be talking about negotiating salaries today. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't want this to be super stuffy because I think the worst thing ever is going to a salary talk and hearing them just drone on and on about the exact same thing you've always heard, right? So we're trying to do this a little differently tonight. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anecdotes, Maya is used to this spiel, please speak up at any point, right? So the first main takeaway you have to have tonight is that good salary negotiation is dependent on communication, the world around you, and the knowledge of your worth. I think a lot of times people expect salary negotiation is just like asking once, and then if they say no, you're done. And what I really want to kind of instill in you guys tonight is that's not how it is. That's not how it should be. And that's how HR actually is expecting you to act so that they don't have to deal with you. Okay. So the first thing is you have to actually communicate correctly. And I think this is one of the biggest sticking points I have when negotiating salaries. You need to learn not only how to communicate, but what methods actually work best for your situation. This is true regardless of if it is within SWE, if it's salary negotiation, if you're in a group project, whatever. This is like one of the main things you have to learn to be what I call an adulty adult, right? Like you're all adults, you're all over 18, but like you need to be an adulty adult. And communication is one of the things that separates people who are being a successful adult and people that are kind of struggle busing like me. So when you're actually going through salary negotiations, do not ever communicate your request via phone. Don't do it verbally. I think this is one of the biggest mistakes people make. When, let's say you're talking to a friend and your friend is having relationship problems, It's really, really easy for them to just like talk and talk and talk and somehow logic their way into staying with that person, right? We've all had a friend like this. Okay. The same thing happens when you do salary negotiations with recruiters. They're going to talk you in a circle until they get you where they want you. They can't do that if they email you, right? They can't spin their little web for an hour on the phone if you are emailing them and being 100% direct in what you want. The other benefit of this is that you have a paper trail. I had a friend who verbally negotiated an extra $3,000 to her salary on the phone and then got told, we don't have any record of that actually being the case. And then she lost it. And it's because it wasn't written down. So this also just helps create a paper trail for your documentation, right? I think that when you are communicating with recruiters about salary negotiations, and I have this slide a little bit on, it is really important to make sure you're showing your enthusiasm. The only time you should be negotiating your salary with a company is if you are 100% certain you are going to go with that company. So show your enthusiasm. Don't be afraid to put exclamation points. I've seen a lot of things recently on like professional TikTok and professional Twitter that's like, don't email how you normally do it. Email like a man would. No, 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 no. Email how you, Claire or Heather or Kayla, would email. You are your own person. Why are we going? I have to email like a man, or I have to email like a woman, or I have to email like a freaking alien. That's not the point. Email how you would email, right? But be enthusiastic. Show how much you want to work for the company, because that is going to ultimately kind of help them go, this person is worth us giving more money to. The second thing, if it comes back, is that you need to actually do your research. And I think this is a really, really big mistake that a lot of people do, is they don't actually research. So you have to go in being knowledgeable. If you go in with no idea of the world around you, you're not going to be able to reason and logic why you deserve extra money or more PTO or more moving expenses. You're just not going to be able to, because you have no idea what the actual bar is. Let me tell you, HR does. HR knows and has fancy calculators to tell you exactly how much it's going to cost you to move from Florida to California. They have all the salary ranges for every single position at their company. They have all the salary ranges for every position at other companies around them or in the area or their main competitors. These companies are very, very knowledgeable. And if you go in not being knowledgeable, you may think that you're getting a fair offer and you're not actually getting a fair offer. So do your research. Figure out the quality of life for where you're living. So this is mainly things like your housing, your groceries, utilities, gas prices, things like that, or other necessities. And the quality of life is super important. A really good example, my friend recently just accepted a job out in California. The salary, $91,000. She saw the number and she went, this is amazing. I'm going to take it. Well, my friend did not realize that $91,000 in California, that part of California, was the same as making $67,000 in Florida, which is a big difference, right? She should have asked for more money. She should have negotiated. She did not negotiate. Always, 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 and this isn't actually in my slides, but we're going to go ahead and say it here as I think of it. Always negotiate, always ask for more, and never accept an offer in the first 48 hours. Never. I don't care if you know 100% that's what you want. If you have not negotiated, if you have not taken the time to do your research and become knowledgeable, if you have not taken the time to go over every single pro and con associated with that offer, you're not doing your due diligence as somebody that's about to step into the work field, right? My mom and dad always had a rule growing up, and it was any big decision we had to wait 24 hours before we were allowed to do. When we went to buy a new car, we had to wait 24 hours before actually putting the down payment on it. Even things like we went to buy a new barbecue pit, And we had to wait 24 hours because we needed to actually like think about all the differences between all the barbecue pits we wanted. Now, a lot of times our decisions didn't change, right? But sometimes they did. And sometimes the reason they did is because we did more research. That all comes back to going and being knowledgeable, right? You also should be looking at your actual moving expenses. Take the time to go online and do estimates of how much would it cost me to rent a U-Haul truck from here to there. Actually like come up with like a little mini scenario of, okay, let's say I'm going to fly in and then I'm going to ship my car and then I'm going to do this and that. Actually take the time to be knowledgeable about what your accurate moving expenses are going to be. You also should be thinking about the average salary, not only just by like, the position within the company, but also your geographical area. There are a lot of companies that I can name right now in the aerospace industry and just in a lot of industries in general that rely on people looking at the salary by position and not the geographical area, right? If that company that you've applied for is paying 15% less than every other company in the area, it doesn't matter if they're paying a little bit higher for your position. You deserve the extra 15% more. No, give me the 15% more. This is the one time I'm going to tell you to be greedy, right? Greed is a fault. But when it comes to setting up your salary and setting up what you get from a company straight in, this is setting you up for the rest of your life. This is the one time where it's okay to be a little greedy. Okay. And then finally, you need to look at your full offer versus your salary. Look at the full package you're getting and look at it from a more holistic point of view, which I think I have a slide in here that we're going to talk about, which is why I'm going to move on. Next, have confidence. Haha. So, yes. So, women are, we all know the pay problems that are presented. I don't need to explain to you that women make less money and that if you're a minority or a BIPOC that you make less money. We all know that, right? But there's actually a statistic out there that says women are 43% less likely to negotiate an offer from a company than a man is. Ugh, and I'm so sick of hearing statistics like this. Y'all, you wouldn't be graduating with a degree if you weren't like qualified. You wouldn't be getting an offer from a company if you weren't amazing. Have the confidence in yourself and your abilities, right? Like the worst thing they can say to you when it comes to salary negotiation is no. They're not going to rescind your offer because you took the time to ask for more money or more PTO or something. They're just going to be like, sorry, it's not in our means right now. But all they're going to tell you is no. Have the confidence. Email that recruiter, get the money, get the vacation days. You deserve it, right? When recruiters and HR people make these offers, they are dictated by a minimum standard of what the company can afford. That's not the max they can afford because while they're hiring you, they're also hiring 20 other people. Or if you're somewhere like Boeing or Lockheed, 1,000 other people. It's okay to ask for a couple $1,000s extra. The revenue of these companies is not going to be hurt because you decided, hey, I'm worth a little bit more than this. Okay? Be confident. Go forth. Make the money. Do it. So the second takeaway I want you to have tonight is that salary negotiation should never just stop at salary. You as an employee and as a human are worth so much more. So I don't necessarily know the lovely broad span of everybody that's here in the group tonight. But when you get an offer from a company, you're not just getting a salary. A lot of companies also offer bonuses, moving expenses, 401k contributions, health insurance. Some companies are offering stocks. Some companies are even offering company shares if you can get in on a startup. And realistically, all of this should be something, regardless of if you're an intern or a full-time worker about to go out and go forth into the industry, you should be considering the whole package. As a personal note, a few years ago, worked for the Boeing company as an intern. Absolutely loved it. 10 out of 10, great company. But the next year, when I was offered a return package, I was also offered another position with my current company, which is Spirit AeroSystems. And something that was like really, really important to me was they had better overall benefits. Spirit was is a smaller company. So they were able to offer me more 401k contribution. Their health insurance was significantly better because the cost of living in that state was lower. So they were able to offer lower premiums I had to hit before they would start paying for everything. The cost of living in Wichita, Kansas is so much lower than Seattle. And realistically, it was the same job in both places. But I had to consider the entire package to consider which company was going to be the best fit for me. And name isn't everything. As much as I love Boeing and as much as I will tell people to go to Boeing, it's not everything, right? So it's the same thing when you go to work full time. You need to consider the whole package. It does not matter if they are offering you $100,000, if they're not contributing to your 401k, if the health insurance is absolute just like crap, if you get nothing else but that 100K. You need to look at the entire package. And what a lot of companies don't want you to know is that you can negotiate the entire package. It's not just salary that's negotiable. A lot of companies have a minimum when you start, or a maximum when you start working out, that says, oh, you get 3 weeks of vacation per fiscal year. But if you've been an intern at that company for 2 or 3 years, you've already been contributing to the company as a whole. You deserve more vacation time. Negotiate for it. Honestly, they're probably just going to be happy you're not asking for another 10K on your salary. And even if they come back and say, we can't offer you any salary, ask for additional 401k contribution. Ask for additional part-time off. Figure out where else you can negotiate, but please do not just stop at your salary. Lots of different things should be considered when you're actually going to accept a full-time job. This is why you do the 48 hours. Because imagine thinking it's only going to cost you $2,000 to move to California. And you're super excited because they gave you $4,000. And then 2 months later, it turns out and it's $7,000 to move to California. You're going to be kind of bummed you didn't take the time to like estimate it out and ask for more money, right? Negotiate the entire package. So, how do I actually negotiate? This doesn't help if I don't tell you how to negotiate, right? I'm sitting here telling you things to consider and things to do, but I'm not sitting here going, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. It's the 3 E's. I've never seen anybody else talk about it this way. And honestly, I think they're missing out because this is the easiest way to think of it. You need to evaluate, email, and engage. Okay? So evaluate. Pretty self-explanatory, right? Like I said, take 48 hours. Literally go through line by line of that offer and talk about all the pros and cons. Think about every small little situation that might come up. Well, if I live in California, I might need wildfire insurance or earthquake insurance. But if I live in Florida, I need hurricane and flood insurance. Think about those sort of things. Evaluate every single little detail and aspect of your offer and about the company and about the job. Then you're going to email. Like I said, always email. Don't verbally do it. Don't do it over the phone. You're going to email. And when you email, you're going to engage with the recruiter. So you need to be crystal clear. Do not do, I wonder if. Do not go, I'm thinking, maybe, what do you think? No question marks in your emails. Be clear. Be to the point. Be direct in what you want. If possible, explain the reason. So if you're asking, and you'll see this on the next slide I have, if you're asking for additional moving costs, explain why, right? If I go to Maya and I'm like, Maya, I know you gave me $3,000, but I want $5,000. The first thing she's going to do is look at me and be like, why? If you don't give a reason, they can't justify it. And these companies need to be able to justify giving somebody more money. Because when they make you an offer, usually it's based off of, we think you're qualified for this job. Based on your experience, this is where you're putting your pay. They've already done some fancy calculations and ideas in the background to figure out where they think you should be. You need now to tell them why they're wrong and why you should be somewhere else, right? Be serious. I know that sounds funny, but like, be, again, really upfront about, I want to work for your company. I am going to work for your company. I just want to negotiate this because I want to make sure that I'm setting myself up as best as I can while I do what I'm going to do for you. And then consider everything and talk about it at the same time. So this goes back to the whole idea of negotiating the entire package. It is advised that you do not send one email negotiating salary, and then you negotiate salary, and then you're like, oh, I also want to negotiate like moving expenses, and then you send another email that's like, oh, and by the way, I wanted to talk about my vacation time. Do not do that. Do it all in one email. This is why we have numbered lists. This is why we have the ability to create new paragraphs. This is why we have the ability to bold and underline things. Talk about everything at one time. Okay. Recruiters prefer it this way. I personally think it's significantly easier to do it all in one go. And then it's also going to take less time. Okay. So here is a sample email. So hello, whoever. Thank you for the offer letter. Notice the exclamation point. I am not emailing like a man. This is exactly how I would email. I am riddled with exclamation points. Ask Maya. She can show you the emails. But I'm excited to receive an offer from your company, and I am thrilled to have a chance to work for. After reviewing the offer, I would like to request an additional $5,000 on my base salary to make it this, and an additional $2,000 to the moving expenses to total this. Based on the current range of salaries for my position. So notice how we're now going into rationale, which is this range. I believe, that should be believed, not believed, based on my qualifications, that this new value is fair. You can then list your qualifications, flat out tell them, I have this many years of experience and I've done this for your companies and this for your company. Like, I'm amazing. Please listen to me. As for the moving expenses coming from this location, this would greatly help and aid in minimizing the stress associated with moving and starting a new job. If you have done some of those sample calculations on what it's going to cost you, throw it in here, right? Always add in the explanations as to why, and then end it very nicely. I look forward to working with you on my offer and can't wait to be an employee of this company, right? Realistically, they know and they're expecting most people to try to negotiate. If you don't negotiate with them, it is the best day because they're like, heck yeah, I don't have to worry about this person anymore. My company could have just been asked for an extra $5,000 and they weren't. Fantastic, right? They're most of the time expecting you to negotiate. They're not going to be upset that you're negotiating. They're not going to be like, who does this person think they are? They're not going to do that. They're expecting you to negotiate. It's completely normal for negotiations. So be confident when you send these emails. But definitely, I know this is short because I'm trying to fit it into the PowerPoint, but always put in all the rationale that you have. So are there any questions? Anything that you guys are wondering that you might want to know? We'll stop sharing so you all can see my face and we can talk one-on-one. Any
I just have
questions?
a question like right away from what you were just saying. So you said to like say it all in like one email initially, but like if they denied your like salary request, can you say like, oh, instead can you give me like a bonus? Like, is that normal or no?
Yeah, so that's definitely normal. So if you are evaluating the package and you find multiple things wrong with the package, that's when you're supposed, not wrong, wrong's the wrong word, but you find things that you want to improve upon in your package. It is completely fine to list them all in the same email. If you ask for additional salary and then like, sorry, we can't do that because of budget, then you could be like, hi, so and so, I understand the rationale for not being able to increase my salary. Due to this reasoning, would it be possible to increase the number of vacation days or PTO that I am given in order to, whatever, right? Whatever reason you want to throw in there. That is really, really common actually. And I definitely have seen my friends do it before and have it work. So completely fine. What about casually sliding in there that you have another offer for more? 1,010%. This is how I negotiated my intern salary hire. Is I emailed the recruiter and I was like, I have 5 other offers and 3 of them are higher than what your company is offering me right now. Can you increase my salary by any chance? And they could, and they did. And I was the highest paid intern that summer. And it was very, very satisfying. I'm not going to lie. So if you have other offers, definitely mention it. I think, the expectation from a lot of the salary negotiation like talks that I see is that this is your only offer, right? So I usually try to stay along that line. But it definitely would be possible to be like, and I've been really flat out, like, a company offered me a full-time position a year in advance of my graduation. I was honest with them that, hey, your offer's a little low for it being in New Jersey. This is another offer I've received in New Jersey for this value. Is there any wiggle room? I think just being upfront with them, I would recommend if that's the case, do not give them the name of the competing company. I think when you deny an offer because you've accepted another offer, it's completely fine to be like, hey, a lot of times recruiters will ask you, like, what company did you end up selecting? I think then it's okay to mention what company you're going to, because a lot of times HR just uses that to go, how can we improve our company? But when it comes to current offers being negotiated, I think that a lot of times that can kind of give them fire, if that makes sense. Like, oh, well, I know Boeing's like salary is higher, but like we have the better reputation right now. Like it gives them ammunition that they might be able to use against you. So in the middle of negotiation, do not mention the other companies that have given you offers or that you're currently talking to. Heather asks if it's possible to negotiate internship offers too. Is it similar to the process of a full-time job? Yes. So I'm on my third internship this summer, and then I've had a co-op before. So I've worked for a couple of different companies. I think that it is significantly harder to negotiate intern salaries. Usually it's because they have like a base pay that they pay everybody, right? For example, my current company, it's dependent on your major and what like intern group you fall into. So I fall into engineering stress analysis, and that's one base price compared to like the chemical engineers who are paid a different and intern base price. I definitely don't think it hurts if you have experience to negotiate or try to negotiate the intern pay. One of the reasons that I was able to get higher pay is because I had a ton of experience underneath my belt. And some of that was with the company already. I know a lot of times if you're a return intern as well, they'll bump up your pay. I'm experiencing a $4 to $5 an hour pay increase from last summer to this summer. It's definitely harder. It's doable, but a lot of times it's pretty set in stone. Are there any other questions?
I had another question. So I feel like salary would be easy to like look up and be like, oh, this is like my region and my position.
Yep.
But then for like the other things, like I feel like I know nothing about like 401k. Like, how did you get the knowledge and like that information? Was it like talking to other people, or like can you look that up somehow too? And like vacation days, like how do you know what you're worth, I guess, in terms of those?
Yeah, I think it's very hard. So 401k is usually set in stone by a company. You can ask if they have other plans or other like methods. So like there's a difference between like a 401k and a Roth IRA and things like that. Like you can ask if they do any sort of other financial contributions, but usually that sort of stuff is kind of set in stone. In terms of vacation days, PTO, salaries, if you have never worked for a company before, couple of different avenues you can take to get that knowledge. The first one is Glassdoor. I know everybody's like, oh, this isn't a reliable source, but like realistically, it gives you a pretty good indication. Um, I know it definitely gave me a good indication for the full time job that I was offered out in New Jersey. It was dead in line. um, I would always kind of err on the side of a little bit higher than what Glassdoor says. Um, but Glassdoor, you also realistically can reach out to that's what I'm looking for, unions. I know lots of people are like, oh, unions are horrible. Why would I want to join a union? As an aerospace employee, a lot of times when you join, you are automatically in an aerospace union. So it's an organization called SPIA for whatever reason. And you automatically become part of this union. Well, the great thing about this union is that they have a whole table of every single position at every sort of level, at every sort of experience, right? Excuse you. Sorry. Um, And if you call them or contact them, a lot of times they'll tell you what the average is because unions are all about making sure people are fair, paid, and treated right, right? And a lot of times, if you tell them, hey, I just got an offer from your company or this company, because SPIA represents lots of different companies, and you're like, this is, the position I'm trying to figure out what the average salary is, a lot of times they'll tell you. And from what I understand, a lot of other engineers in big companies, even small companies in general, will have a union or something similar where they can get that sort of information. I also would recommend using LinkedIn and just contacting people and being like, hi, I'm curious about your company. I'm trying to figure out, if you would be able to explain like average starting salaries and vacation days, stuff like that. You would be surprised with who's like willing to kind of talk about that information. And this is something that I would really love to see change is America in general is very hush hush about money and vacation days and things like that. But all it does is hurt us, right? Like there's no problem in telling somebody how much you make because all that does is it allows them to either make more money by going, hey, other people are being paid more than me, or it allows that like you to be like, oh shoot, I'm underpaid, right? Underpaid. So that's what I would recommend. You also might, depending on the relationship you have with your HR person, you might be able to just ask for like a standard range that they might be able to give you. Kind of doubt that one, but I've definitely kind of pulled it before and it's worked. Hello. So that's what I would recommend. Let's see. There's chat stuff. Should we negotiate the average salary in the area or is it okay? You always ask for the higher. I'm sorry if I did not mention this. You always go in high. When they go low, we go high. Michelle Obama is applicable in every situation. Yeah, literally though. If you see the range is 70 to 80,000 and you've been, excuse you, and you have been offered $71,000, you ask for 80. They're not going to give you 80, but they'll go, how about $76,000? Yes. So let's say you're expecting 75,000 and your company offers you 72 and you go, oh man, that's really, really close to what I was expecting. Like that's really, really close. I should just take it. No. Go high. Go higher than what you think. Ask for 79. Maybe you'll get more than the 75 you were going for, right? But always, always go high. Can a master's degree be used to boost salary if you have very limited or no experience, or should we wait to use this until we have some amount of experience? Realistically, once you get into industry, your degree level no longer cares. And that's why I tell you guys that to be greedy when you go into industry, like when you get these offers, is because once you're there, they no longer care what your degree is. It's all going to be based on, well, this is the salary you started out, this is how much we're allowed to like increase, this is your performance, so this is therefore how much we're going to increase, yada yada. Like they no longer care. You should 1,000% use the fact that you have a master's degree to boost your salary. If you are, so let's say you are applying to be a structural engineer and you're a undergraduate student and you get offered 75,000. Great. But if you're a master's student, for that same position, you should be offered at least $80,000. A master's degree indicates that you have more knowledge and a higher level of intelligence in that subject, and companies should pay you accordingly. If you are having, as a master's student, the same offer as an undergraduate student, that company does not value your education. Make them value your education. You put blood, sweat, and tears into becoming a master's student and getting a master's degree. You should be paid like you put blood, sweat, and tears into a master's education. And that's part of the reason that a lot of people, once they're at work, go back and get a master's degree, is because if you obtain new degrees while you're working, you can increase your salary or use that as a justification for a salary increase. But it's very, very hard once you have a base salary and you have not obtained additional education to then use it as a justification for salary increase. Does it change at all when most people in your field don't have a degree? I mean, realistically, if you have a grad degree in a field where a lot of people don't have grad degrees, you're going to be a commodity, right? Like you're going to be looked at significantly better. Instead of being like a 2-layered fancy cake, you're like a 5-layer fancy cake. You have something that other people are not able to give, right? And the whole idea behind a master's degree and a grad degree is this idea that you're able to specialize more. And realistically, that's less training and less experience that they need, that company needs to give somebody else, because you're already coming in with that level of experience and knowledge. So I think if anything, it makes it to where you should be given even more money towards your salary. So keep that in mind. Any other questions? I apologize you guys got to see my cat. His name is Bear. He's never done that in a meeting where he just like lays in front of me and then just like randomly decides he's gonna attack my glasses. So that's new. But congratulations, you got to see my cat. Any other questions, comments, concerns, anecdotes? He's trying to negotiate. Man, I don't know what he needs to negotiate. Maybe I'm not giving him a standard of living I thought I was. Little jerk. He's staring at me from the ground. More catnip. He actually, for whatever reason, my cat does not like catnip. I have no idea why. He refuses to use it. He's saying no to drugs. I don't know. I should be proud. If there's nothing else, I can hand it back over to the sweet eBoard leadership team.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming in. This was like very, very helpful. I know, like personally, I'm sure everyone got like a lot of great information out of this. So yeah, thank you so much for coming tonight. I know it's like really late too, so like thank you for taking the time out of your night.
Let me flash my contact information real quick. If anybody wants to reach out or connect with me or anything like that, I'll flash my contact. Oh, are you kidding me? Presentation. Okay, there's my contact info if anybody's interested.
Okay, awesome. And then yeah, if anyone has any questions about just like SWE in general, like bigger SWE outside of like our section, Natalie knows like everything, and it's like really interesting. So if anyone's interested in like any other positions or getting involved outside of like arts
Yes.
as well, she'd be a great person to go to about that.
Committee applications are due April 1st. Yes, get involved with Big Sweet. Join the committee. Yeah, no problem. Thanks everybody for coming. But yeah, if you have any like sweet questions or if you want to hear anything about my experience or anything like that, I can definitely chill out for a couple more minutes. Like I said, I'm going to be up till like 3 a.m. So you got like no problem with me. Thanks for having me, Maya. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, I had fun. I had fun. Okay, well, I think I will get going then. If there are any questions or if somebody comes to you later, like, man, I didn't get her email, feel free to pass out any of my contact